Bhoothakaalam begins with Asha, a school teacher living with her son Vinu and her elderly mother in an old rented house. Asha is already struggling with depression and takes medication for it. Her son Vinu has completed his D.Pharm, but despite searching for a job for almost 2 years, he remains unemployed. This slowly pushes him back into smoking and drinking. The relationship between mother and son becomes increasingly tense. Vinu also feels trapped because he has spent so much time caring for his grandmother that his personal life and career have suffered. One day, Asha's mother dies. After her death, the atmosphere inside the house changes completely. What initially appears to be grief soon turns into something much more disturbing.
After his grandmother's death, Vinu starts noticing strange things inside the house. He hears unexplained sounds, sees things moving, and begins feeling that someone else is present. At first, he wonders if his mother is somehow responsible, but eventually he becomes convinced that there is another presence in the house. However, nobody believes him. His mother thinks his drinking and emotional problems are affecting his mind. After Vinu gets involved in a drunken argument, his uncle decides that he needs professional help. Asha takes him to a counselor named George, but Vinu refuses to cooperate properly. Meanwhile, the strange incidents continue. Even when Vinu is alone, he feels watched and hears disturbing noises coming from different parts of the house. George begins investigating the history of the house after learning about Vinu's experiences. He discovers something extremely disturbing. The house has a history of deaths and strange incidents. In the past, the owner's son had lived there with his family. At one point, he killed his wife and daughter before hanging himself. Another tenant, a bank manager, also experienced serious psychological problems while living there and eventually suffered a terrible fate. George realizes that the people who lived in this house before Asha and Vinu had also experienced emotional breakdowns and strange behavior. This makes Vinu's story harder to dismiss as simple mental illness. Meanwhile, Vinu tries to tell his girlfriend about what is happening, but she also struggles to believe him. As the situation gets worse, Vinu's uncle becomes convinced that Vinu is mentally unstable and decides that he should be admitted to a psychiatric hospital. Vinu feels completely helpless because nobody understands what he is experiencing. At the same time, Asha is also reaching her breaking point. She is exhausted by her mother's death, her own depression, financial problems, and the constant conflict with her son. One night, Asha secretly puts poison into the food because she plans to end both her life and Vinu's life. But during dinner, the two finally begin talking honestly. Asha understands how much Vinu has suffered, while Vinu finally understands the pressure his mother has been carrying. Their anger turns into emotional reconciliation, and Asha throws away the poisoned food. Immediately after their reconciliation, something terrifying happens. The strange presence in the house becomes impossible to ignore. The spirits finally reveal themselves and begin terrifying both Asha and Vinu. Asha now realizes that Vinu was not simply imagining everything. The sounds and strange events he described were real, or at least something beyond their understanding was happening inside the house. Mother and son desperately try to escape. They manage to get out of the house alive. The next day, Asha and Vinu decide to leave the house permanently. With help from Vinu's uncle and George, they pack their belongings and move away. Most importantly, the experience brings Asha and Vinu closer together after years of emotional distance. The movie ends with Asha and Vinu leaving the haunted house behind. George understands that something truly disturbing happened there, although Vinu's uncle still finds it difficult to believe the supernatural explanation. The final shot returns to the empty house after everyone is left. The camera remains still, making us expect another ghostly appearance, but nothing happens. This creates the biggest question of the movie. Were the events caused by actual ghosts, psychological trauma, or both? The title Bhoothakaalam itself can be understood as both the past and ghost time. The film suggests that the past never truly disappears. Asha and Vinu were already haunted by grief, depression, addiction, unemployment, and their broken relationship. The house simply becomes the physical representation of those buried fears.
If you enjoyed this story, subscribe to Maluflix for more hidden Indian movie stories and unforgettable cinema. Maluflix, stories that stay.